sponsored by Chopin Vodka. We want to say thank you to Chopin Vodka for helping us put this together. Tomorrow will mark the 35th anniversary of the first Pines invasion, which was in 1976. We are very fortunate to have Bobby Bonanno with us today. Bobby attended one of these that we did, Tripping on the Moon, on music last year, and was so inspired that he founded the Fire Island Pines Historical Preservation Society. Last August. So I know why you're all here. I'm going to turn it over to him. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. Very, very excited about the turnout. Again, my name is Bobby Bonanno, and I'm the founder of the Fire Island Pines Historical Preservation Society. I'm very excited to be co-sponsoring our first event. And I would like to personally thank Seth and Andrew, who are creating a new and different Pines, all while respecting the history of where it all came from. I want to welcome Pansy, Rose, Ruth and Susan Friedner, the twins, and our Cherry Grove homecoming queen, Unita Dunes. I want to thank you for your courage in making the journey and for doing it year after year and for being with us today, making the then and now part of our history. I'm sorry to say that both Bella and Harold cannot be with us today due to illness. They were looking forward to sharing their stories. A little historical society history. I want to thank everyone for supporting the Fire Island Pines Historical Society Facebook page. Last year, a seed was planted. It grew after I went to one of these Boardwalk Talks early on. The idea of archiving our history. The Historical Society has started on Facebook, the growing language of most people. With the advent of the internet and digital photographs, the timing is right for this sharing of our history. As the Pines community moves towards 60, exciting plans are underway. To quote our mission statement, to collect, preserve, and celebrate the rich and colorful history of the Fire Island Pines for our present and future generations. There'll be a Q&A after we have our discussion. I had the pleasure of interviewing both Rose and Pansy recently, so we have a lot of information to share. So let's start at the beginning. It's 1976, disco, the bicentennial. How appropriate. The homecoming queen, Pansy, please share your story.
Hello, everybody. This is quite breathtaking, I have to say, and thank you for having us. And I hope we answer all your questions and entertain you. But I'll tell you about the beginning. In 1976, the Arts Project decided that they needed to sell more tickets to the shows. So they figured, what better way to do it than get a drag queen to work their ass off up and down all the boards. So they held a homecoming queen contest. And the board's theory, I mean, they made it sound glamorous, but the board had it planned that the homecoming queen was going to be their PR person and do all the work. So they had the homecoming queen contest at their membership party, and I won. I was 12. And you know how good we all look with that beautiful 12-year-old skin. So. Well, I have to say that I milked it to the bone, and I wore a dress every Saturday, every Sunday, every Friday night. And we used to bless the bathers, and we used to go to every party, and we just had a lot of fun in the spirit of camp. Well, how this started was Terry Warren. Many of you, I see many familiar faces remember who Terry and Susie were back in the Grove. They were our infamous, wonderful, wonderful people who were, as you know, the Grove is filled with many characters, and they certainly were they were larger than life. And Terry didn't go anywhere not in drag. So sometime after Memorial Day, Terry came over here to go to dinner, sometime in early June, and John White they wouldn't let her in. I don't know if it was John White or his maitre d'. And they asked her guest, said, well, why not? And the answer was that this was a family restaurant. So Miss Terry just left. You know, she was very gracious. But needless to say, back at the Grove, you know, the division between the communities, that's all we needed to hear. So it just festered for weeks. That, oh, those Pines people. Oh, that John White, fuck John White. Now, a little prehistory is everybody, all of the old true Grovers, like the Twins and like Rose, we've always considered the Pines an extension of the Grove. This was a colony of the Grove. I told you we had a lot of fun back then. So anyway, July 4th comes, speed ahead, and it was the bicentennial. And we were having a party at a house of Tara, and it was early afternoon, and we were watching TV on one of those beautiful 9-inch televisions that we... And we could see all these hundreds of little boats going up and down the Hudson River. It was, you know, kind of spectacular, but truth be known, it was just an excuse to have a party. And we were all drinking, not that vodka, but some other kind of vodka. That wasn't here yet. But needless to say, we all got a little spirited, shall I say. And back then, tea dance here in the Pines was late afternoon, early evening, I'm not sure, like 5, 6 o'clock. That's when it was back then, you know, when the sun set, it was beautiful. So as the day progressed and we got a little more and more spirited, the subject of Terry Warren came up and blah, 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 and we were talking and yakking and getting drunker and drunker and talking and yakking, and suddenly it became, let's go show those fucking Pines what this is all about. Goddamn John White, how the fuck did he think he is? You know how courageous you get when you get a little spirited in the late afternoon. So, there were 5 of us in the house of Tara. There was a friend, Nick Sinisi, and there were 2 dykes, Lynn Hutton and Amelia Maggaccio. And somehow or other we got Rose involved through it, but we all sat there and decided, well, okay, let's do it. How do we do it? Let's all get in drag, let's all put on a dress like they had to twist my arm. And the girls went home and they got full leather and everybody got dresses, and it was rather fun. And Rose got dressed and Amelia went and got Rose, and so we met at the dock, and there were 7 men in dresses, and I was the pretty one, of course. And 2 very masculino lesbianos, or Lithuanians as we call them in the club. And as you get more spirited, they become Lithuanians. But I'm bummed. Anyway, so we got to the dock and we hired a water taxi, and back then the main water taxi was Randy and Sally's. And Randy happened to be driving the boat that came along, and so we told him what we were going to do, and he just thought it was fabulous. Now the homecoming queen also had a big pink taffeta cake. You remember that god-awful thing? Dickie Martini's cake, right. And so we got in the water taxi, we were all excited, we were all talking and yakking, yak, 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 yak. And we get to the Pines Harbor, the boat slows up, and we got dead silent, because suddenly we realized, oh my God, you know how spirited people are. They say a lot of things and they don't really mean it. Well, here we were. It was like coming out of a blackout. It was like, holy shit! So we were all standing there, and we all got very quiet. My lover was there, Max Killingsworth, my dear Max. And somebody said, well, what happens if they attack us? What if they hit us? And my lover, God love his soul, said, whatever happens, protect the Queen. You can't make these things up, you really can't. And upon that note, one of the lesbians immediately said, fuck the Queen, I'm gonna run! Excuse my profanity. So Randy was really in with the spirit of it, so when he hit the harbor, he put on the horn and made as much noise as he could. And we pulled down here, and this place was packed. It was high tea, it was July 4th weekend, it was like one of those great weekends when everybody was everywhere and you couldn't move. And everybody just like couldn't believe their eyes. I remember looking at the crowds and they were all running and looking and looking. Here we are waving. So they parked the boat, and it was like a phenomenon because we really expected to get a really bad reception, and everybody was just silent. And the crowd was like looking at the boats, and we were getting off, and somebody said, "Who is she?" And Amelia said, "She's the Queen." Because we were coming over from the colonies. And they said, well, why is she here? And Amelia said, she's come to bless the harbor. And suddenly there was this whisper in the crowd, she's come to bless the harbor, she's come to bless the harbor. We were just shocked. I mean, you know, so we got off the boat and they made way for us and they brought us cocktails. They led us up to the 3rd floor of the hotel. And so I blessed the harbor. And we were standing up there, and Amelia said, all right, now what do we do? I said, well, we've had a free drink, let's just get the fuck out of here. I've always said leave them wanting more, so we left, and that honestly is the truth of the first invasion.